First contact and deception. The massive vessel eclipsed the Sun as it entered Earth's orbit, casting a shadow over the northern hemisphere. Supreme Commander Seth Aaron stood on the bridge of the Sovereign Dominion, his 6 eyes scanning the blue-green planet below. After 3,000 years of conquering worlds across the galaxy, the Vardarian Empire had finally discovered Earth. Another primitive species, Seth Aaron remarked, his scaled fingers tapping against the control panel. Observe their technological level. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Nilvex, displayed a holographic assessment. They've achieved nuclear fission, rudimentary space exploration, and global communications. No defensive capabilities beyond their atmosphere. No detection systems capable of identifying our surveillance drones. Typical pre-unification development, Seth Aaron nodded. They still fight among themselves. 17 major conflicts occurring simultaneously. Shall we initiate standard conquest protocol? Nilvex asked. Seth Aaron considered the question. The Vardarian Empire had assimilated hundreds of planets using the same methodology. Appear suddenly with overwhelming force, demonstrate technological superiority, demand submission, and gradually extract resources while maintaining the illusion of beneficial partnership. No, he decided. Send a diplomatic envoy first. These humans might prove useful beyond their resources. Their adaptability appears interesting. The Vardarian diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, materializing over the United Nations headquarters in New York. Panic erupted initially, but within hours, emergency protocols activated worldwide. The Vardarians were surprised by the speed at which Earth's nations unified their response. Ambassador Thrulzar, a towering figure with iridescent scales and elaborate ceremonial armor, addressed the hastily assembled representatives of Earth's nations. People of Earth, the ambassador began, the translator device converting his complex vibrations into human languages. The Vardarian Empire brings greetings. We control 17 sectors across the galaxy and bring prosperity to all planets under our protection. We offer you this same opportunity. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's lead representative, stepped forward. A quantum physicist who had abandoned her research to serve in diplomatic roles during global crisis, she had been unanimously selected to speak for humanity. We appreciate your visit, Ambassador, she replied calmly. Earth welcomes peaceful relations with all spacefaring civilizations. However, we maintain our sovereignty and independence. Ambassador Thrulzar's upper eyes blinked slowly, a sign of amusement among Vardarians. Sovereignty is an illusion, Dr. Vasquez. The galaxy operates on a hierarchy of power. Currently, you stand at the bottom. We offer you a position of status within our empire. And if we decline? Elena asked, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. Then we will be forced to demonstrate why that would be unwise, the ambassador replied. You have 7 Earth days to consider our offer. As the Vardarian delegation departed, Elena gathered Earth's leading scientists, military strategists, and political leaders. They're here to conquer, not cooperate, she stated bluntly. We need to understand their technology, their weaknesses, and we need to do it fast. General Marcus Chen, commander of the newly formed Earth Defense Force, spoke up. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Conventional warfare is pointless. Then we fight unconventionally, Elena replied. While our political leaders stall for time, we need to learn everything we can. Over the following days, Earth's scientists studied the limited data they had gathered during the Vardarian visitation. Dr. Sanjay Patel, a materials engineer working with Elena, made a startling discovery. Their hull compositions, he explained, pointing to spectroscopic analysis. They're using a crystalline lattice structure that suggests their shielding technology relies on phase-shifting defensive fields. It's brilliant, but it might have a fundamental flaw. Explain, Elena urged. They're designed to deflect energy weapons, the kind of technology advanced civilizations would use, Sanjay continued. But they might be vulnerable to kinetic impacts. Primitive weapons, by their standards. Elena's eyes widened. They're expecting us to try to match their technology. Exactly, Sanjay nodded. But what if we don't? What if we go backward instead of forward? When the Vardarians returned for Earth's answer, they found a seemingly cooperative global council. Earth requested additional time to organize their planetary government, to prepare for integration into the Empire. Ambassador Thrulzar agreed, amused by the humans' attempt to delay the inevitable. What the Vardarians didn't detect was the frantic activity happening beneath the surface. Underground facilities worldwide were repurposing nuclear missiles, removing their warheads and replacing them with specially designed kinetic penetrators. Orbital satellites were being quietly modified. The global internet had been partially moved to a secure, isolated network hidden from Vardarian scans. After 30 days, Supreme Commander Zetharan grew impatient. Their delaying tactics have gone on long enough, he declared. Prepare for demonstration of force. Target their largest military installation. The Sovereign Dominion positioned itself over the Pacific Ocean and fired a precise energy beam at a naval base in San Diego. The beam cut through the facility with surgical precision, vaporizing buildings and ships while leaving civilian areas untouched. Send the message, Zetharan ordered. They have 1 day to surrender or we target their government centers. On Earth, Elena and her team watched the destruction with calculated calm. They've shown their hand, she said. Now we show ours. General Chen nodded. Operation Trojan Horse is ready. Across the globe, retrofitted communication satellites suddenly changed their orbits, moving into positions surrounding the Vardarian fleet. Simultaneously, missile silos opened, but instead of launching upward, many of the missiles were fired into the ocean. On the Sovereign Dominion, the sudden activity triggered alarms. They're launching primitive missiles, Nilvex reported dismissively. Our shields will vaporize them before impact. Zetharan wasn't so certain. Something's wrong. The trajectory is off. They're not targeting us. Indeed, the missiles appeared to be targeting nothing, splashing into empty ocean. The Vardarians watched in confusion until the water began to churn. What are they doing? Zetharan demanded. The answer came moments later as massive submarines surfaced, each carrying previously hidden launch platforms. These platforms fired a new wave of missiles, not up toward the Vardarian ships, but toward the communication satellites that had repositioned themselves. They're destroying their own satellites, Nilvex said, baffled. No, Zetharan realized too late. They're creating a debris field. The satellites exploded, but instead of dispersing randomly, the debris formed a carefully calculated pattern. Thousands of tiny fragments, each coated with a substance that absorbed Vardarian scanning frequencies, created a momentary blind spot in their defensive grid. Through this blind spot shot a wave of modified kinetic penetrators, simple in design but devastating in effect. The penetrators weren't detected until they struck the Vardarian shields, which were calibrated to deflect energy weapons, not physical objects moving at relativistic speeds. 3 Vardarian ships were damaged before they could adjust their shields. A fourth, a smaller scout vessel, was destroyed completely. Impossible. Zetharan roared as the bridge shook from an impact. How did they calculate our shield resonance? On Earth, Elena watched the data streaming in. It worked, she said quietly. But they'll adapt quickly. We need to move to Phase 2. As the Vardarian fleet regrouped, a transmission came through from Earth. It showed Elena standing before the United Nations emblem. Supreme Commander, she addressed Zetharan directly. Your demonstration of force has been answered with our own. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend our planet. We propose a ceasefire and genuine diplomatic negotiations. Zetharan's upper eyes narrowed. These humans had damaged Imperial vessels with primitive technology. They had shown resourcefulness and coordination that defied their development level. Most concerning of all, they didn't seem afraid. This isn't over, he replied. You've merely delayed the inevitable. I will return with the full might of the Vardarian Empire. As the damaged Vardarian fleet retreated beyond the moon to regroup, Zeth Eren sent an urgent message to the Imperial Command. Earth resistance stronger than anticipated. Request reinforcements. These humans are different. On Earth, the Lena knew they had won only a brief respite. They'll be back, she told the Emergency Council. And they'll be ready for our tricks. General Chen nodded grimly. Then we'll need new tricks. Lots of them. We have something they don't, Alina said. We have thousands of years of fighting against superior forces, of being underdogs. It's practically in our DNA. As night fell over a planet united in its determination to remain free, humanity prepared for the real war to begin. The unexpected resistance. 3 months after the first confrontation, the skies above Earth darkened as the reinforced Vardarian fleet returned. Not one ship this time, but 50, a force that had subjugated entire star systems. Fleet Admiral Krasvorn, the Empire's most decorated military leader, had personally taken command. His massive flagship, the Eternal Supremacy, dwarfed even the Sovereign Dominion. Supreme Commander Zeth Eren. Krasvorn's voice was cold as he addressed his subordinate. The Imperial Council finds your failure concerning. Zeth Eren bowed his head. The humans employed unconventional tactics. Admiral, they sacrificed their own assets to create advantages we didn't anticipate. And you think I cannot handle primitive beings with primitive tactics? Krasvorn's upper eyes narrowed. I have conquered worlds that had mastered antimatter weaponry. These humans haven't even achieved reliable fusion. With respect, Admiral, Zeth Eren replied, they don't fight like any species we've encountered. Krasvorn dismissed the warning with a gesture. Prepare for orbital bombardment. We will destroy every military installation simultaneously. Then we will accept their surrender. On Earth, humanity had used the 3-month reprieve wisely. Under Alina's leadership, scientists worldwide had analyzed every piece of data from the first encounter. They had developed new weapons, new tactics, and new technologies inspired by what they had observed. More importantly, they had prepared a response to the expected Vardarian return. When the fleet appeared, Earth initiated Operation Scattered Light. Thousands of small, autonomous drones, each no larger than a basketball, launched from hidden facilities worldwide. Built from materials that absorbed Vardarian scanning frequencies, they positioned themselves in the upper atmosphere. The Vardarians are powering weapons, General Chen reported from the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Bombardment imminent. Alina nodded calmly. Activate the drones. Across the globe, the drones simultaneously activated powerful electromagnetic pulse generators, not aimed at the Vardarian ships, but at Earth itself. The carefully calibrated pulses created a temporary disruption in Earth's own electromagnetic field, essentially making the planet flicker on Vardarian sensors. Target lock failing, reported a Vardarian weapons officer. The planet's magnetic field is generating interference. Krasvorn snarled in frustration. Impossible. Their technology can't manipulate planetary fields. They're not manipulating the field, Zeth Eren realized. They're disrupting it locally with thousands of small devices. Ingenious. Launch fighters, Krasvorn ordered. Find and destroy these devices. Vardarian fighters streaked toward Earth, their advanced sensors struggling to locate the drones amid the electromagnetic chaos. As they entered the atmosphere, they encountered another surprise. Clouds of aerosol particles released from aircraft worldwide. These particles, composed of materials developed by Dr. Maya Lindbergh, a chemist who had studied the Vardarian ship fragments, adhered to the fighters' hulls. Initially harmless, they began to interact with the electrical systems of the Vardarian craft, causing cascading failures. Fighters began falling from the sky, not destroyed by human weapons, but disabled by simple chemistry. Those that managed to avoid the aerosol clouds found themselves targeted by modified air-to-air missiles. Primitive by Vardarian standards, but effectively impossible to predict due to their non-networked independent guidance systems. Their weapons are analog, a Vardarian officer reported in disbelief. No digital signatures to disrupt. While the Vardarians struggled with Earth's atmospheric defenses, humanity launched its own offensive. A team led by Captain Sophia Reyes, a former Special Forces operative, had been preparing for this moment. "Trojan Horse Team, we are go," Sophia announced to her 12-person crew aboard the modified space shuttle Hermes. The shuttle had been fitted with Vardarian hull fragments recovered from the destroyed scout ship, allowing it to register as debris on Vardarian sensors. The Hermes approached the Vardarian fleet, broadcasting signals that mimicked the Empire's own damaged vessels. As the shuttle drew closer to the eternal supremacy, Sophia's team prepared for the most daring mission in human history. "Remember," she told her team, "we only need 10 minutes." Using specialized cutting tools developed from studying Vardarian metal compositions, the team created an entry point into the massive flagship. Once inside, they moved quickly through the alien vessel, following schematics developed from analysis of the scout ship. Their objective: the central communications array. On the bridge, Krasvorn was growing increasingly frustrated. How are they countering our every move? They shouldn't even understand our technology. "They're adaptive," Zetharan replied. "They learn quickly." An alarm suddenly blared. "Intruder alert in Section 47B," a security officer reported, near the communications hub. Krasvorn's eyes widened. "Impossible. They're aboard." By the time Vardarian security forces reached the communications hub, Sophia's team had already accomplished their mission. They hadn't destroyed the communications array. They had reprogrammed it. Using a virus developed by Dr. Aiko Tanaka, Earth's leading expert in theoretical computational systems, they had created a worm that could infiltrate the Vardarian command network. As Sophia's team fought their way back to the Hermes, the virus spread through the Vardarian fleet. It didn't disable their systems. It did something far more devastating. It transmitted every piece of classified information it could access back to Earth. Weapon specifications, shield frequencies, fleet movements, and most importantly, the Vardarian tactical database. "We're compromised," Zetharan reported as the security breach was detected. "They're accessing the Imperial Tactical Archives." Krasvorn's face darkened with rage. "Destroy that shuttle." The Hermes took heavy fire as it fled the flagship, but thanks to the information already transmitted, Earth's defense systems were able to provide covering fire with unprecedented accuracy. The shuttle made it back to Earth, though severely damaged. With the Vardarian tactical database now in human hands, the balance of power shifted dramatically. Earth's scientists and military strategists worked tirelessly to apply the stolen knowledge. Within days, human weapons were recalibrated to target specific weaknesses in Vardarian shields. Earth's own defensive systems were adjusted to counter Vardarian attack patterns. Most significantly, humanity now understood the Vardarian command structure and communication protocols. The final battle came a week later. Krasvorn, his reputation in tatters, launched an all-out assault on Earth. "We will glass the entire surface if necessary," he declared. But Earth was ready. As the Vardarian fleet moved into attack position, they found themselves facing not just Earth's modified weapons, but psychological warfare unlike anything the Vardarians had encountered. Using the stolen communication protocols, Earth broadcast directly to every ship in the Vardarian fleet, not just to the commanders, but to every crew member. The message was simple but devastating. Footage of the Vardarian leadership discussing their true intentions for Earth and its people. The Empire didn't seek allies. They sought slaves and resources. More damning were the records showing how previously allied species had been systematically exploited until their worlds were depleted, their populations decimated. All Vardarian personnel. Elena's voice echoed through every ship. "You've been told you bring prosperity to the galaxy. The evidence in your own archives tells a different story. We have no quarrel with you as individuals. We only wish to remain free." The broadcast created immediate confusion within the fleet. Junior officers and crew members who had genuinely believed in the Empire's benevolent mission found their faith shaken. Some ships reported internal conflicts as crew members questioned their orders. Krasvorn raged from the bridge of the eternal supremacy, cut all internal communications, launched the attack immediately. But the damage was done. As the Vardarian fleet moved to attack positions, their normally perfect formation was ragged, their coordination failing. Some ships hesitated. Others moved too quickly, breaking the carefully planned assault pattern. Earth struck before the Vardarians could reorganize. From hidden lunar installations, built during the 3-month preparation period, kinetic launchers fired thousands of projectiles. Unlike the first battle, these weren't aimed to destroy Vardarian ships, but targeted their propulsion and weapon systems with surgical precision. Simultaneously, a swarm of small manned craft launched from Earth. These weren't military vessels but modified civilian aircraft and spacecraft, each piloted by volunteers. They carried no weapons but instead deployed clouds of the same adhesive particles that had disabled the Vardarian fighters earlier. "What are they doing?" Nilvex asked as the human craft swarmed around the larger Vardarian vessels. "They're blinding our sensors," Zetheran replied, watching as the small craft sacrificed themselves to deploy their payloads. And they're doing it willingly. The courage of the human pilots shocked the Vardarians. In their empire, such sacrifice was compelled, never voluntary. The sight of humans willingly risking death to protect their world had a profound psychological impact on the already demoralized Vardarian crews. In the midst of the chaos, Sophia Rise led a second mission, this time targeting the Eternal Supremacy's main reactor. While the Vardarians focused on the external threat, her team infiltrated the flagship again, planting specialized devices near critical systems. These weren't bombs, they were transmitters, designed by Dr. Tanaka to create a cascading failure in the Vardarian power distribution network. When activated, they wouldn't destroy the ship but would render it temporarily powerless. "Admiral," a Vardarian engineer reported frantically, "we're detecting energy fluctuations throughout the fleet. Some kind of resonance pattern is disrupting our power cores." Before Krasvorn could respond, the lights on the bridge flickered and died. Emergency systems activated, but the mighty flagship was effectively paralyzed. Throughout the fleet, ship after ship reported similar failures. In the darkness of the powerless bridge, Zetheran turned to Krasvorn. "These humans," he said quietly, "they don't think like us. They don't fight like us. They're unpredictable." For the first time in his long career, Krasvorn felt something unfamiliar: doubt. The Vardarian Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds, but none had resisted like this. None had turned the Empire's own technology against itself so effectively. None had shown such resourcefulness, such adaptability, such willingness to sacrifice. "Admiral," Zetheran suggested, "perhaps we should reconsider our approach to Earth." When power was restored hours later, the Vardarian fleet found itself in a precarious position. Their weapon systems were compromised, their crews demoralized, their tactical advantage nullified. Earth had demonstrated not only the will to fight but the ingenuity to win. Krasvorn, the undefeated fleet admiral of the Vardarian Empire, faced an unthinkable decision. Fighting to the last ship would bring victory. The Empire's resources were vast, but at what cost? How many ships would be lost? How much crew morale would suffer throughout the Empire when word spread of humans defeating their best forces? "Open a channel to their leaders," he ordered finally. Alina Vasquez met with the Vardarian leaders aboard a neutral vessel in Earth orbit. The negotiations were tense but productive. Earth would not become part of the Vardarian Empire, but neither would it be an enemy. A new classification was created: independent ally. "You understand," Alina told Krasvorn, "that we will share what we've learned with any world threatened by the Empire." The Admiral's upper eyes narrowed. "The Imperial Council will not be pleased." "Then perhaps it's time for the Empire to evolve," Alina suggested. "There's more to gain from genuine cooperation than from conquest." 3 years later, a new Vardarian vessel entered Earth orbit. Unlike the warships of the first encounter, this was a diplomatic and scientific ship. Ambassador Zetharen, formerly Supreme Commander, greeted the Earth delegation. "The reforms within the Empire continue," he informed Elena, now serving as Earth's ambassador to galactic affairs. "Many worlds have been granted the same independent ally status as Earth. The Council is adjusting to the new reality." "And Admiral Krasvorn?" Elena asked. Still bitter, Zeth-Eran's upper eyes displayed amusement, but also respected for knowing when to make peace. "His final report to the Imperial Council has become required reading at our military academies." "Oh, what did it say?" Zeth-Eran's voice took on a formal tone as he quoted, "Regarding potential military action against Earth or similar human settlements, our advice is simple: run." As the diplomatic meeting continued, a small Vardarian scout ship detected something at the edge of the solar system. Humanity's first true interstellar vessel, preparing for its maiden voyage to the stars. The galaxy would never be the same.